This lesson is about the duties and responsibilities of office bearers and how it will be broadening and strengthening the constitution of their board. Having a good and effective non-governmental organization board provides a basis for successful management of its organization, formalizes its target constituents with activities of the NGO, help in better understanding the organization structure of the NGO, and also assist in distributing responsibilities among the team members within the NGO. An NGO board may be called by different names such as Board of Directors, Steering Committee, Advisory Group, etc. Objectives. On the completion of this lesson, you should be able to understand the meaning of duties and responsibilities of office bearers, to have a clear picture of functioning of NGOs, office bearers' roles. The Committee of Management is the governing body of a non-profit organization and is legally accountable to the body of members for its decisions, actions, and obligations, and to always act on their behalf and in their interest. The committee directs and monitors the financial and operational performance of the legal entity through a formally established and endorsed strategic policy and financial framework. Each committee requires president, secretary, and treasurer, with a deputy position of vice president and optional positions of ordinary committee members. An organization's constitution, model rules indicate the specific requirements on each of these positions. Governing body. The governing body's strength shall not be less than 8 and not more than 10. The members of the governing body shall hold the office for 5 years. The meeting of the governing body shall be held as and when necessary, for which minimum 15 days notice will be required, and a quorum shall be 2/3. Top management. The top management of an NGO consists of 3 entities: the Board of Directors, the General Assembly, and the Executive Director. At the top is the Board of Directors of an NGO. An NGO board is legal requirement in most countries, and in order to get it officially registered with the local authorities. Many NGOs stipulate that membership in a board is voluntary and non-remunerative. Board meetings are kept closed, though written proceedings, reports, and minutes may be made public for transparency purpose. Depending on the type of NGO, a board may be responsible for a number of tasks. For example, hire and supervise the executive director, develop and approve budgets, etc. Board members will also be expected to champion the NGO's cause and represent the NGO to a larger community. Many NGOs also expect board members to help raise funds for their projects. Next comes the executive director, who may also be called by other names such as coordinator, chief operating officer, or CEO, etc. He or she is responsible for the overall development in which the NGO moves and the responsibility for managing the day-to-day activities of the NGO. The executive director is also a member of the board, usually its executive secretary. He or she reports to the board. The board of directors and the executive director may be assisted by advisors. These advisors are optional but are useful to create a good image of the NGO and enhance its brand name, besides providing specialist advice for the NGO. In some cases, a general assembly may be set up at this level. Especially in cases where the NGO is a membership-based NGO, the General Assembly is a group of all such members, including its board members and staff members. A General Assembly usually meets annually or biannually and is held sequential to a board meeting. While day-to-day decisions, activities and management are taken care by the board, the executive director and the staff members, the highest body that guides and advises the overall development and process of the NGO. A General Assembly may or may not be required by law, but such a body helps in creating a good transparent image for the NGO, in building trust with its partners and stakeholders, and in public relations and fundraising activities. Depending on the NGO's bylaws, members of the General Assembly can also participate in meeting by proxy, usually deferring to the Executive Director to cast their vote when needed. Staff members. Staff members of an NGO are responsible for the day-to-day functioning and implementing of its programs and projects. They report to the Executive Director, who overall is responsible for the NGO activities. Staff members of an NGO fall in three groups: responsible for activities related to 1. Administration, 2. Publicity, and 3. Programs or projects. 1. Administrative activities are led by an administrative manager. This manager may have several staff members assisting him or her, including a finance assistant or membership coordinator. Besides the financial management of an NGO, a finance assistant may also be responsible for fundraising activities of the NGO. This means that he or she will have to work closely with the staff members responsible for communications and dissemination, as well as those responsible for programs or projects. In the case of large NGOs, this fundraising responsibility may fall under a separate position specifically set up for the purpose. The membership coordinator manages the NGO's members, membership fees, customer relationships, etc. 2. Communications and dissemination activities are the responsibility of a staff member at the level of a manager. This manager may be assisted by other staff members such as public relation assistant, a publications assistant, or a web or social media assistant. The public relations assistant works closely with both the finance assistant and membership coordinator on one hand and the program manager on the other to publicize its events and build a brand name for the NGO. Similarly, the publications assistant will have to work with the public relations and web or social media assistant in order to make sure the NGO's publications are disseminated widely in a timely manner. 3. Program and project activities of an NGO are led by a manager. That is, of course, the biggest part of an NGO's activities and forms its structural core. Program manager may be assisted by several project assistants, training assistants, and other assistants depending on the number and size of the projects being implemented. Short-term external consultants who provide specific services for projects, or field staff who are hired to implement projects in the target community also fall under this section. The staff positions and responsibilities outlined above are not, of course, fixed. NGOs can have other staff members too, or shared or related responsibilities can be held by one person. For example, related responsibilities of membership coordination and public relations can be handled by the same staff member. In case where an NGO is just starting or in the process of developing, this consolidation will particularly be true where one staff member may be handling more than one and related responsibilities. Details of all staff members, their roles and responsibilities, and overall NGO structure are concretized by including them in the NGO's bylaws. Bylaws are needed for the legal registration of an NGO and can be added to or changed with the approval of the Board of Directors and the General Assembly. The organization structure itself may change over time depending on how the programs and projects are and new ones initiated. Election of officers and committee members. Nominations of candidates for election as officers of the association or as ordinary members of the committee must be: A. Made in writing, signed by two members of the association and accompanied by the written consent of the candidate, which may be endorsed on the form of nomination, and B. Delivered to the secretary of the association not less than 7 days before the date fixed for the holding of the annual general meeting. A candidate may only be nominated for one office or as an ordinary member of the committee prior to the annual general meeting. If insufficient nominations are received to fill all vacancies on the committee, the candidates nominated shall be deemed to be elected, and further, nominations may be received at the annual general meeting. If the number of nominations received is equal to the number of vacancies to be filled, the persons nominated shall be deemed to be elected. If the number of nominations exceed the number of vacancies to be filled, a ballot must be held. A ballot for the election of officers and ordinary members of the committee must be conducted at the annual general meeting in such manner as the committee may direct. Committee members. Committee members who are not office bearers but who make an important and valuable contribution to discussion, debate, and decision making. Their role can include subcommittee membership, carrying out action as delegated by the committee, contributing to the quality of meetings by knowing and understanding the meeting procedures adopted by their committee, and providing practical support to the office bearers. Organizational structure and responsibilities. Board of Directors. The Board of Directors shall consist of Executive Committee, Trustee, immediate past President, and 7 board members, one of which should represent the associate membership. 2. The board shall meet on monthly basis prior to the regular membership meeting or other planned function to transact any and all businesses of the association. The board shall also meet at special meetings called for at any time. 3. Each director shall exercise all powers and duties as prescribed. Board member responsibilities. 1. Attend 75% of the regularly scheduled membership meetings or functions. 2. Attend 75% of the regularly scheduled Board of Directors meeting. 3. Serve on a committee for at least a 1-year term and attend 75% of the meetings scheduled for each committee on which they serve. Executive Committee. The Executive Committee shall consist of the President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, and Executive Director. 2. The Executive Committee shall meet monthly to set the agenda for Board of Directors meetings, provide guidance to the President and Executive Director, and oversee the committee assignments. Elected offices. President. The President shall be the Chief Executive and Administrative Officer of the Association, and as such shall make every effort to promote the welfare of the Association and to increase its usefulness to all the members. By assignment and delegation, he or she implements the overall program of the chapter. By surveillance of assignments, the President assures the orderly execution of such a program. The President shall preside at all meetings of the Association, Board of Directors, and Executive Committee, and shall perform such other duties as may be prescribed by the Board. The President should also be an ex officio member of all committees except nominating. Area of activities. 1. Chief Executive of the chapter. 2. Call and preside over chapter, board, and executive team meetings. 3. Represent the association at outside activities such as at the other chapters, chambers of commerce, etc. 4. Maintain liaison with chapter teams. 5. Maintain contact with membership through monthly newsletter. Vice President. The Vice President shall perform the duties of the President in his or her absence or in case of a vacancy in the office of President until such time as the vacancy is filled. The Vice President shall have primary responsibility for meeting programs and shall preside over the meeting in the absence or at the request of the President. Additionally, and as importantly, the Vice President shall have primary responsibility of chapter membership, promotion, attraction, and recruitment. The Vice President shall perform such other duties as may be requested by the President. Areas of activity. 1. Confer with Board of Directors on programs or program material. 2. Prepare and present schedule of programs and events by month. 3. Select members and direct membership efforts. 4. Establish and oversee programming for membership enrollment. 5. Maintain contact with regional membership director regarding prospective members, resigns and delinquents. Secretary. The secretary shall be responsible for keeping minutes of all the meetings of the association at which official businesses is conducted and of meetings of the board of directors, shall be custodian of all records, applications and membership records, shall issue all notices and perform such other duties as may be required by the directors. The secretary shall perform his or her duties with the assistance of executive director. The secretary will oversee the activities of the association's various teams to ensure that they are making positive progress in attaining their respective goals and objectives in support of the chapter's vision and mission. Areas of activity. 1. Take and record minutes of the board of directors and chapter meetings. 2. Meet with president to assist in the preparation of meetings, agendas and activities. 3. Maintain close contact with each chapter team, providing assistance where necessary. 4. Provide copy of minutes, correspondence and records. Treasurer. The treasurer has primary responsibility for all financial matters relative to the chapter and for promoting monthly meeting attendance. The treasurer shall keep an account of all monies received and expended by the association and shall make distribution as authorized by the board of directors. He or she shall deposit all sums received in bank or banks approved by the board. Funds to be drawn only with the signature of the treasurer, or if he or she is unavailable, with the signature of the president. All financial records shall be subject to verification, inspection and audit by the board at any time. The treasurer shall prepare and present a financial report at each monthly meeting of the board and other times when requested by the president at the end of the fiscal year. At the expiration of his or her term of office, the treasurer shall turn over his or her successor all records, monies and other assets belonging to the association. Areas of activity. 1. Collect and dispense all funds received or owned by the chapter. 2. Maintain accurate and timely financial records. 3. Make financial reports as required by the president and develop the annual budget. Trustee or alternate trustees. The trustee is duly elected representative of the members of his or her chapter. A necessary responsibility of this office is regular attendance to all national meetings and any special meeting of the Board of Trustees, plus an open line of communication with the membership, which is best maintained by regular attendance at the local meetings. The trustee or alternate trustee shall participate in team activities at the local and national level and will represent and act as liaison. Administrative staff. The executive shall perform all the routine administrative work required by the president, the board of directors and as agreed upon the contract. He or she shall work primarily under the general direction of the president and secondary for the board of directors. Areas of activity. 1. Conduct the activities of association as they pertain to maintain all necessary files and records. 2. Field representatives regarding membership promotion and retention. 2. Assure that all details with regard to monthly membership meeting, board of director and executive committee meetings and any special meetings are completed in accordance with the appropriate activity and responsibilities of a chapter executive. 3. Implement board of directors decision as required. Provide support to various chapters committees as needed. Manage any additional business and or social events the board of directors may plan. 4. Write, edit and distribute the monthly newsletter. 5. Provide and present a monthly chapter executives' activity report at the Board of Directors meeting, ensure that all annual legal papers or reports as required by the Internal Revenue Service and the state are completed and filed. 7. Maintain chapter records and manuals. Let us summarize today's class. The office bearers play a critical role in the development and success of non-profit organizations. Sometimes referred to as Board of Trustees, these volunteers act as guardians of organizations who protect and maintain the core values and purpose of the organization. They are crucial to an NGO and is responsible for many specific tasks. The board's main task is to govern and oversee the operations of the organization through acting as fiduciaries.